On a very tight time schedule this morning. We've got from 9 to 9:30 with ACVB, and I'd like to start out by we go around and introduce ourselves, and Paul, we'll start with you and go around the table.
Okay, Paul Holman, Anchorage Assembly.
WOC under Anchorage Assembly.
Dick Trainee, Anchorage Assembly.
Patrick Flynn.
Ernie Hall, Anchorage Assembly.
Chris Birch.
Jeanette Anderson Morse, Communications Department Head at ACVB.
Julie Selke, President and CEO at the Anchorage Convention Visitors Bureau.
Denise Hansen, and I work for Syria Alaska Tourism and on the board for ACVB.
Jim Henderson, Convention Sales, ACVB. Bill Dugdale, Facility Director, ACVB.
Very good. Well, I would like to begin, number one, I've been told by my brother, who is a member of the Lions Club and has been very involved in bringing the forum to Anchorage, Alaska next year, which is going to be a huge boon for the city. But he came back from Milwaukee, and he was absolutely singing the praises of an individual with your organization. That he said when he got there, the foreign people were a bit cranky, but said Jim Henderson went through and said he couldn't believe the turnaround and the compliments that turned at the end of it. They absolutely thought he could walk on water. So, Jim, you represent the city very well, apparently, when you go out there. And, my brother said it was absolutely first class.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Julie Soppy. She's going to be giving us a presentation, and I'd like to be able to let Julie go completely through, and then we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. Not a lot, but that's the downside of only having 30 minutes. So Julie, the floor is yours.
Great, and thank you for recognizing Jim. I'll have to tell you, one of the things I've discovered now is I travel across the country on occasion and meet other CVB directors and folks from other convention sales departments. Jim is known nationwide. And usually when people tell me, hey, I know Hendo, it's always said with a big smile. He is certainly a great asset to ACVB, and I'd like to just tag along for a moment. This is not part of what I had planned to say, but I'll take advantage of it. And the staff that we have at the Bureau, particularly our sales staff, particularly our traveling sales staff, whether it's in convention sales or in our tourism development and sales department, are fabulous. Like any good employee, dedicated to their job, but beyond that, they really have a passion for what they do, and that's what you need in our industry. So it's very, very rewarding to work with a group of people who take that to their job every day. Ernie said I had a presentation, and it's not your typical destination marketing, bells, whistles, videos, and all of that. I just wanted to talk, and in talking to both Ernie and Patrick Flynn, who both sit on our board of directors, they're full voting members of our board. They thought at this point in time that it was probably less about our programs and our marketing, although it's hard for me not to talk about that, and more about the state of our industry today. And so that's primarily where my comments will be focused, and as Ernie said, we certainly hope to leave time for questions at the end. The other thing, as we've done for several springs and falls now, we certainly will be reaching out to all of you individually to get together in small groups. And if you have real specific questions at that time, if this discussion today leads you to some questions, please know our door is always open, but we will make that outreach to you again in the next month or so and try to get together with you in a smaller group setting, and also with members of our board of directors so that you can chat with them as well. We've all introduced ourselves. It's great to have Denise here from our board, and actually Bill Pop behind me is also ex officio on our board of directors, so thought I'd call him out. And we do have a great partnership, and on one of the handouts inside that 2009 report to the community, one of the areas that I just wanted to stress, we created this for the Assembly, is the partnership. ACVB is a contractor to the municipality, but it's a relationship beyond that. It's not just a contract that we hold, but we do consider it a partnership. For us to be effective in our job, we have to have a good, strong relationship with the administration, with the Assembly, and with many other organizations in this town, including things like AEDC, like the Chamber of Commerce, like the Downtown Partnership, because we're all working together for economic development purposes. I'm pleased to say that not only is that necessary, but it currently exists. I feel that the economic development organizations in this town are very closely aligned right now. I also feel that we've got a strong relationship with our administration, which is critical to us to get our job done. We hold 2 contracts with the municipality of Anchorage. Most people are very much aware of the first one, which is our tourism promotion contract. And for that contract, 1/3 of the bed tax comes to ACVB for tourism marketing and tourism promotion. The other 2/3, 1/3 stays with the city in the general fund, and then 1/3 goes to pay off the bond debt for the Denina Center. And actually it's supporting the Egan Center these days as well. So not only are we partners, but we really have a shared need to grow the bed tax. As it grows not only our budget, but it also grows in what it contributes to the bed tax. The second contract that we hold is management for the Anchorage Convention Centers. And so we are your manager for those 2 facilities, the Egan Center and the Denina Center. Currently, Bill Dugdale on the end here is our facilities director. We have hired a contractor, SMG, to do the operations for the facilities. Ultimately, though, we are responsible for their success from a service standpoint and from a financial standpoint. And so we take that job very seriously, and it's really changed the scope of what we do. Of course, Jim, his job is to fill those. Bill's job is to make sure we provide the commitment that we make to the meeting planners that Jim works with. And we're very pleased, again, the relationship that we have with the city. We just went through the RFP process for those facilities, looking to possibly change contractors, put the RFP out. It was a 10-month process, Bill, maybe longer. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We're at the very tail end, and we will be announcing who that contract will be awarded to very soon, along with the administration here. But it was I won't say seamless, but it was a very collaborative process, and it worked very well. And it was, I think the outcome will be very good for not only the city, but for ACVB as well. Also, with the administration, it's not just these contracts, but it's also in the marketing. We rely on them, and they rely on us as well. Working with national media, whether it's travel writers, whether it's business media. If they come to the municipality, we like to be a resource for them. If they come to us, we certainly rely on them to be a resource if the media is looking for that type of information. Welcoming and inviting convention groups, it's very important to us that we have a letter from the mayor, a welcome from the mayor, that type of thing. Again, very strong relationship. And more recently, kind of the part of our industry that everybody's buzzing about is film. We're very excited to be inviting and welcoming and seeing film groups in our town. I think most of us are very excited. And that is truly a partnership with the city. ACVB has created what we are calling Film Anchorage, a small, not even a 1-person office in our building, it's about a 1/4-person office in our building right now. But we're working with film producers on the front end, inviting them to look at Anchorage, helping them look at Anchorage, helping them on their scouting missions, helping connect them with people in our community who provide the services they need. The film that's currently shooting here, Everybody Loves Whales, has relied very heavily then, once they started production, on working with the city for the permitting, getting resources of the city to help. This is 10,000 bed nights to our community. It's about a $50 million impact. It's great to see the collaboration citywide that's going on, and to know from the producers that they're having a fabulous Anchorage experience. And as I said, we're scouting and working with future producers, and we're making sure that they're talking to the folks on the Whales crew, because they're having such a great experience, because they've been very much in partnership with the city. So that part of the city, from ACVB standpoint, is working very well. And there's a couple of really huge projects that we think will come through very soon as well. So it's a nice way to diversify our economy and to help tourism businesses and all businesses in Anchorage. We're very excited about that. One One area that we've added for 2011 as far as partnering with the city and municipal employees, and it may involve some of you folks, we're not sure yet. But for 2011 in our budget, we've added additional travel costs for when we go down and we speak to cruise line executives, we speak to airline executives, we speak to some of the very largest tour wholesalers out there, or if we've got interest from a national television, Today Show or one of those, where we would like to bring municipal employees or officials like yourselves with us. It certainly adds impact for those very, very largest of our VIP clients. And we haven't been able to do that in the past. And we think it's important, and we look at what other destinations do when they do some of their sales calls, and they come in with a whole delegation of local officials. For some of our clients, we think it's warranted. It would be a pretty special occasion, a very special client with a lot of impact, but we may be calling on some of you to join us if and where we see a good tie-in. For example, if we're going to a public safety conference and doing a big pitch for something, it would be very important to have somebody from that sector or from the government along with us. So those kind of opportunities we think we haven't made the most of in the past, and that's something that we're looking at for 2011 to expand this partnership that we have with the municipality. Speaking of partners, one other thing on the partnership thing, and we'll move on to forecasts and bed taxes and such, but one of our primary concerns as we put together our annual plan and we put together our program of work and we do what we do is working with our membership. We're very accountable to our membership. We have about 1,200 business members, and they keep us in line. It's our programs that they rely on to increase their business. And we're very, very pleased. Every year per our contract with the municipality, we do have to do a membership survey. And we always get some good information from it. We just completed our survey for 2010. And we've had very high satisfaction ratings in the past. And so every year we think, oh gosh, this is the year that, we're not going to be able to sustain. We actually increased again this year. I'm very pleased to say our satisfaction rating with our membership is at about 94% satisfied. Of that, 60% fall into that very satisfied category. Last year, we were at 93% satisfied, but only 48% were in that very satisfied. So that very satisfied category took really a very large jump this year during what was kind of a difficult year. So it was very pleasing to see that. And we do what we can to make sure that we spread as much business to the private sector here in Anchorage that we can. That is ultimately what our mission is. Whether it's working with meeting planners or tour operators, that's where we try to head. The other part of this handout, the right-hand column really focuses on the programs, which I said I wasn't going to talk about, but I put them on this sheet. But the reinvestment aspect. Certainly the funds, the contract with the municipality, the funds that come to ACVB are a reinvestment. We aren't just spending them, we're spending them with purpose, and that purpose is to increase the bed tax in the future. And we do have some other funds, we call them our non-bed tax funds, that come from membership dues, that come from advertising sales, that come from sponsorships. If you see us out at community events supporting things like charity ball or supporting the charity walk, those type of things, I just want to be clear that those are not bed tax funds. Certainly the bed tax funds we only see as reinvestment funds that go into increasing future revenue streams for the city. So the health of the industry, where are we? We've had a difficult couple of years. I know that the headlines have been out there frequently, particularly about a year and a half ago. And I'll just try to put it in quick perspective and then move forward to 2011. But in 2009, Anchorage as a whole saw bed taxes drop about 18%. Likewise, we saw our budget drop about 18%. Going into 2010, we looked at a variety of factors. And of course, coming off of a very difficult year in 2009, making many difficult cuts, shaving where we can, cutting staff, those type of decisions, we wanted to be extremely cautious and organized in our planning effort going into 2010. We looked at cruise lines, knowing that there was going to be 117,000 fewer passengers coming into Anchorage in 2010 than 2009. That was extremely concerning for our industry. We looked at business travel, and we didn't anticipate we'd see a surge in business travel. We thought it would be somewhat flat. We looked at independent travel, and we thought maybe we could move the needle there a little bit. Certainly not to make up for the 117,000 lost cruise passengers, but that was an area that we saw we could maybe make some change, and we refocused some of our marketing, did very strong outreach to travel agents and tour operators who booked Anchorage in the past. There had been some difficulties in recent years, though, because our group business, our cruise lines, they had all the hotel space, they had all the airline seats. It was hard for people to book Anchorage for a while there, which is a great problem. But one of our staff called it, 2010 a space odyssey. We have space, we have hotel rooms, we have airline tickets, and we went out with that message to people who book travel in the lower 48. We also went out with that message in-state, because that's a market that we can affect with a pretty quick turnaround and without a ton of money. And I'm happy to say in the end, 2010, and I know you've all seen this as well, is turning out much better than we anticipated. When we went into 2010 as an organization, on top of the 18% down we'd seen in 2009, we budgeted another 10% decrease. Right now, I'm projecting at the end of the year we'll see an actual 10% increase over 2009. Got to put that in perspective. It is awesome, I agree. In perspective, though, we're about halfway back. So if you're looking at this road to recovery, are we there yet? Not quite. But certainly the car is heading in the right direction. For 2011, we're looking forward to slow growth again. Certainly a major component of what we look at when we look at the bed tax is rate. And you've got occupancy, you've got number of visitors, but you also have what is the rate that the hotels are charging. Rate, and Anchorage is reacting the same way that most of the country is. Rate is going to be very flat and very slow to rise. That's what we're anticipating, and that's what we're building our budget on. Some great news, though, from Jim's sector. 2010, we knew was also going to be soft for conventions. We've known that for a few years. There's a few factors that we can't explain, and we don't know that we can explain all of why 2010 was appearing soft and in the end turned out to be soft. 2011 will be quite the opposite. We're expecting a great convention year next year, starting in the spring with some nice national business, going into the fall, the Lions Club that Ernie mentioned earlier, and also AFN will be back next fall. 2011 is going to be a great convention year, and we expect that conventions will move up from there. In fact, 2014, for some reason, now is appearing to be a really banner year. We're very excited for 2014 to get here. Even with the Denina and the Egan Center, we've got some groups now that are shuffling for space, which is, again, a good problem to have. We wish we had that problem this year, but Jim's team has been on the road selling conventions, having the center open, having the center have a track record, having testimonials from groups who've been here, certainly is now helping in the sales process. It takes a while to really give meeting planners nationwide a comfort level when a new building opens. I think we've established that comfort level. Now it's reaching out to more and more groups. So I really should have been reading these all along. Try to get back on track here. International and highway traffic, I should tell you, we're up slightly this year. The other thing why we're seeing an increase that we didn't know when we were budgeting for 2010 was all of the new air capacity. We had new airlines flying, and we had existing airlines flying new routes, opening up new direct cities. That was something that happened after we budgeted. And anytime you get new direct air into a community, it certainly makes selling easier. And we had the opportunity to change some of what we were spending and make sure that we supported those new markets, both internationally and domestically. Finally, I guess statewide, I mentioned that we're doing more statewide, and certainly we're keeping that up for 2011. We're changing our message a little bit, certainly getting more images of people doing fine dining, doing spas, doing those kind of things that in Alaska are unique to Anchorage. Those aren't necessarily the messages and the images that we put out to our national markets, but in-state, that's certainly the messaging that we're moving towards, and we're seeing some success with that. Let's see. I guess a couple of issues is probably too strong a word. A couple of things that we'll be working towards this next year. One, we're completely redoing our website. We're pleased that we believe we have a growing budget next year because this is going to be quite an expense. It's been 13 years since our current site was first put together, and it's gone through a lot of changes, primarily appearance changes over the years. The back end of it, though, as you can imagine, with new technologies, and we've added things and changed our database structure, is a little bit jerry-rigged right now. And so one of the big expenses that we are facing in 2011 is a complete overhaul of the website, and we've been working on getting that RFP out right now. The other issue that pertains to municipal government is our lease for Historic City Hall. We've had a 15-year run, a good partnership where we paid for the renovations, completely refurbished that building that was dilapidated when we took it over. That bank note will be paid off in September of 2011. The building is in great shape. It goes back to the municipality. We're hoping to remain as a tenant in there, and so we'll be working with the municipality to find a lease rate that is fair to the municipality and also fair to the ACVB. So hopefully we will remain in our home come next September. That's our goal, and initial discussions also indicate that the municipality thinks we're a good tenant in that building. It's great to be near the convention centers. It's also great to be near downtown. So, okay, I left 6 minutes. Is that about right, Ernie?
I got
I see him looking at his watch.
I've got some quick questions for you,
Okay.
Elby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, thank you, Julie, and your staff for this presentation. Sorry I was a little bit late, but it's too early for me. So on your flyer,
Yeah.
right, is this NLC, group from NLC? Those badges look familiar.
This group here,
Yeah.
that was Alpha Kappa Alpha. It was
Oh,
a
okay.
national group that met here in July of 2009.
Okay.
Fun.
Well, my real question is this.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the badges looked really familiar because
Yeah.
I'm really involved with NLC since 1999.
Mhm.
And now that we have a facility that's large enough to hold their fall conference,
Yes.
are you approaching them?
Yeah. In
Good.
fact, I wish Julie Dodds was here. She's actually in DC right now. We've certainly tried several times to get that piece of business, and we'll continue to try. It would be a great piece of business for Anchorage, and yes, they are in our database, and we're actively working them at every turn.
Good.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
And good reminder, any of you who have other leads and groups that we should be inviting, please always send that information our way.
Very good. Patrick?
Real quickly, Julie, could you update everyone on the status of the bond payment reserves?
Yeah, Bill probably could better. They're covered at the moment. Bill just sat in on a Civic Ventures meeting.
Civic Ventures is a board of 5 people, so
Right.
Chris Swalling represents ACVB on that board, and Larry is actually, Baker is now on that board, so maybe Larry can speak to it, but the good news is the bond reserves and the bonds are fully paid. In addition, the operating reserve is fully funded at the $5 million level, and then the next bucket, once those are full, then falls down to the capital reserve, which has around $800,000 in it now. And of course, in a tough time, those funds can actually move up and be available for the bond servicing. So,
And just to follow up on that, so that the convention center operated a loss every year, but we're within our parameters of expectation at this point.
yeah, we had 2009. We had a good year, and we were ahead of what the original projections were when the bonds were originally put out, and the performance were done on the facilities. We're having a little tougher year this year because we don't have the conventions, but we're well below the $1.6 million number. We'll probably come in around 1.2, And then we look to actually improve considerably in 2011 on that. So we're in good shape in terms of the operation itself too.
Thank you very much, that's all.
Dick?
Just a couple of questions. Your contract is what, a 10-year contract with the city?
Our, we've just kind of renegotiated as a result of getting the facilities RFP out so that everything is in alignment. Both of our contracts currently are set to expire in 2015, December of 2015, with 5-year options, so.
Okay. Other question would be, I've got an opinion poll here from Hayes Research. They conducted October 18th and 19th for the city. To question 1 and question 2, can you give me a written response from your perspective on it?
My
I don't need
response
it
is
now.
I'd love to see the results. We knew the poll was out there, so.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No, we have not seen it
You
yet.
might want to look at it.
Well, and I can only imagine what
I
the
will give you a copy of it.
Okay, I would love to respond.
I would just like a written response to it. if you
Okay,
would.
yeah,
Not
but,
now, because we don't have the
Yeah.
time.
okay, yes,
Thank you.
but
Go ahead.
I was like, anytime you ask the community if they would
It's 400 people, so.
like property tax relief, I think you're gonna get a pretty strong, yes, I'll take property tax relief.
Right, this is
on
property
any-
tax and relative to police and fire.
Yeah.
They're interested in, could we maintain police and fire by cutting the amount of money
Right.
going to ACVB?
Right,
So just respond in writing if you would.
yes.
Appreciate
I've got
it.
a couple of more quick questions, Chris.
What was your level of engagement with, we just saw that with Princess, when they rolled back the head tax, with the good efforts of many people involved. I guess I don't know to what extent you were involved, but to whatever extent you were, good on you.
Yeah,
And I just
thank
was
you.
wondering if you could speak to that, because it looks like it's gonna bring another, 50,000 more people?
Yeah, in 2012, and we've heard rumors that there may be even some additional announcements beyond what we've already seen. Certainly, our board of directors voted to support the cruise industry's initiatives to lessen the cruise ship head tax. And we did meet with legislators hand in hand with ATIA and Alaska Act and several other groups to try to affect that change in legislation. So we were pretty engaged last year down in Juneau. So.
Well, that's, I just want to say, well done on that count. Second, just a brief question on the, during the public hearings and the budget discussion, there was some commentary about utilization of Anchorage Police Department officers at the Sullivan Arena and, some of these various venues. Is that a contractual issue? Is that, I get, I'm just a little fuzzy to me whether that's a requirement that we have through our agreement with the operation of the Sullivan Arena, or
And the
is that?
Sullivan, we can't speak to. We really are just looking at the Denina and the Egan Center, and
Okay.
there are no contractual agreements. Some events may choose to bring in. Some events, the Denina Center management has called and asked, given a heads up to Anchorage Police that we see there may be some issues, could you maybe be close by? That type of thing, but there's not an ongoing contractual relationship for the convention center. Sullivan, I can't
We
speak
don't
to.
have any.
Thanks.
Okay, Paul, quickly, our final
Quickly,
question.
Mostly, I just want to make an observation. I noticed that in the statistics, that you seemed fairly consistent with the meetings held, meetings sold from '05 to '09, with the one spike seeming to be in '06. So that's obviously the bed tax thing. I think you pretty much addressed likely the lack of cruise ship passengers coming through Anchorage or something like that. So I noticed that it doesn't seem to correlate as big a dip between the '06 to '09 timeframe when you look at the meetings held, meetings sold, comparative to the bed tax collection. So I'm thinking that's what it was. Am I right?
Yeah, the 2006, when you see the collection spike there,
Correct.
that is when the bed tax changed from 8% to 12%.
To 12, okay.
Yes.
But in the sense that it's a meeting, something
Mhm.
directly meeting, so it seemed to be pretty consistent. So
Yeah.
good for you for, and again, for the whole set. And I did we had a conference in 2007, and I think Jeanine,
Jeanine, yes.
went with us, and wonderful. The other thing is when, on reworking the website, something you might consider looking into in the new age, I don't do it, Facebook, Twitter, the LinkedIn, those kind of things where people get little blast of messages, particularly in highlighting conferences or meetings like ELW, if somebody gets a picture of Drew Barrymore or the cast in the middle of it or something that can be posted when you're doing that's really good. And then rather quickly, the last thing is, mentioned earlier in the public safety, I think I'm still a member of IACP, and it's a large conference, something you might consider. The problem being with IACP is that you know, oftentimes you want to sponsor an agency with one of the resources we were faced with at this point. It might be a little bit of a challenge, so ACVB may have to put a little more elbow grease to it. But it's a big conference, and they go around the country.
Great, thank you.
Julie, thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking the time to come here and spend with us this morning.